Custom list building tools for precision lead gen, from a list to a living revenue system. Custom list building used to mean asking for a spreadsheet, loading it into a sequence, and hoping your SDRs could make it work. In 2025, that approach breaks fast because buyers move, titles change, and entire org charts reshuffle in weeks, not years. Precision lead gen now depends on building lists like a system, continuously refreshed, verified, and aligned to how your best deals actually close. When list building is treated as a one-time task, you don't just lose efficiency, you lose deliverability, brand credibility, and rep morale. A cold email agency or outbound sales agency can write great copy, but stale data still creates bounces, spam flags, and wasted call blocks. The goal of this guide is practical. Help you set up a repeatable workflow that turns raw contact data into meetings and pipeline. Whether you run this in-house, through an outsourced sales team, or with a partner like our team at SalesHive, the principles are the same. You need the right inputs, ICP, intent, and buying committees, the right tool categories, multi-source discovery, enrichment, verification, and the right metrics, meeting and pipeline outcomes, not contact volume. Once you treat list building as a core revenue function, your cold calling services and outbound email start compounding instead of stalling. Why precision list building is now table stakes. The biggest reason precision matters is simple. B2B data decays. Estimates put annual B2B contact data decay between 22.5 to 70.3%, which means a great list can be mostly wrong within 12 months if you aren't refreshing it continuously. That decay shows up as hard bounces, wrong titles, and phone numbers that route to a switchboard, or nowhere. Bad data isn't just annoying, it's expensive. Poor data quality is estimated to cost U.S. businesses about $3.1 trillion per year, and the average organization can lose around $12.9 million annually due to inaccurate contact data and downstream inefficiencies. In sales terms, that's wasted SDR hours, lower connect rates, and fewer opportunities created from the same headcount and tooling. The payoff for doing it right is measurable. Benchmarks for well-run outreach put cold email reply rates around 8 to 10%, with 2 to 5% of total sends converting into booked calls. But those numbers assume your list is targeted and deliverable. When the list is precise and your outreach is personalized, reported response rates can reach 10 to 34% versus 2 to 10% for generic blasts, making list quality a direct lever on pipeline. Start with ICP slices that reflect how deals actually close. Most list building problems are strategy problems wearing a tooling mask. If your ICP is a vague persona, mid-market marketing leaders, your filters will pull random logos and titles, and your SDR agency motion will look noisy no matter how hard reps work. A useful ICP is specific enough to be operational, firmographics, disqualifiers, and a clear picture of who shows up in won deals. The fastest way to sharpen ICP is to define it in campaign-sized slices, not a single company-wide poster. Pick 2 to 3 high-value segments based on win rate and ACV. Then document the exact constraints you'll filter on: industry, headcount bands, geography, funding stage, and the functions you repeatedly see in buying cycles. This is also where sales must co-own the definition. Letting marketing define ICP without SDR and AE feedback usually creates lists full of titles that don't reply. Finally, build lists for buying committees, not single ideal personas. In complex B2B, deals typically involve an economic buyer, a technical evaluator, and at least one day-to-day champion, so your list should intentionally include multiple roles per account. That approach makes your cold calling team and your email sequences more resilient. If one persona ignores you, another can still open the door. Build a workflow, not a pile of tools. You don't need 10 subscriptions to do custom list building well. You need a clean, documented sequence of steps. The most reliable setups use 2 to 3 complementary data sources for coverage, then enrich and verify before anything touches a sequence. This prevents the common mistake of relying on a single provider for everything, where one vendor's blind spots become your entire outbound bottleneck. A practical flow looks like this: account discovery, ICP filters, contact discovery, committee roles, enrichment, firmographics, technographics, and key fields, deduplication and normalization, CRM hygiene, verification, email and phone, scoring and prioritization, who to work first. When RevOps and SDR leadership agree on field mapping and rules, your list-building services stop being artisanal and start being repeatable. That repeatability is what makes sales outsourcing or pay-per-meeting lead generation programs predictable. Verification is the non-negotiable gate. Skipping it and launching from raw exports is how teams rack up bounces, hurt domain reputation, and watch deliverability fall across the board, even for good prospects. Set a simple quality bar, for example, aiming for under 1% hard bounces, and require rework when a list fails, just like you would with lead qualification. A great outbound program isn't built on more contacts. It's built on fewer, cleaner records that your team can trust and prioritize. Best practices that turn lists into meetings. Treat list building as a continuous operating rhythm, not a quarterly scramble. Data decay doesn't wait for planning cycles, so refresh key segments monthly, retire contacts that bounce or opt out, and re-enrich accounts when core fields are missing. This is where a modern B2B sales agency or sales development agency can outperform internal teams, because the process discipline is built into delivery. Pair precision with personalization to lift outcomes. With the right fields, role-specific pain, tech stack, recent triggers, you can move from generic outreach into messaging that earns replies, aligning with the reported 10 to 34% response range for personalized campaigns. The list is what makes personalization possible at scale. Without accurate context, personalization becomes guesswork that looks automated. To keep teams aligned, we recommend standardizing success metrics by campaign and list source rather than celebrating contacts loaded. A simple dashboard should connect list quality to outcomes, so everyone can see what to scale and what to kill. The table below is a straightforward starting point for a cold email agency, SDR team, or outsourced B2B sales program. Common mistakes and how to fix them fast. The most damaging mistake is buying a massive, static list and blasting it for months. With decay rates as high as 70.3% annually, that approach quickly produces bounces, spam complaints, and low reply rates, especially when multiple reps hit the same aging data. The fix is campaign-based list building with scheduled refreshes and clear retirement rules for bounced, opted out, or non-fit contacts. Another common failure is building an ICP in a silo. When marketing defines the ICP without sales input, teams over-index on pretty firmographics and under-index on who actually takes meetings and influences deals. The correction is operational. Combine one-deal analysis, ACV, sales cycle, win rate, with frontline feedback from SDRs and AEs. Then reflect those learnings directly in your filters and scoring model. Finally, teams often skip verification and measurement in the rush to get more leads into the system. That's how CRM duplicates multiply, sequences hit unverified addresses, and reporting becomes meaningless because you can't tie outcomes back to list sources. Put verification before sequencing, normalize fields before CRM import, and judge list success by meeting rate, opportunity rate, and pipeline generated, not by the sheer number of records created. Optimization, intent signals, ABM, and rep time leverage. If you want precision without slowing down, add intent and scoring before outreach. Surveys report 97% of B2B marketers say intent data makes it easier to find high-quality leads, which is exactly what list builders need, a way to prioritize the right accounts right now. Even a basic score that blends ICP fit with intent recency can dramatically improve how your SDRs allocate call blocks and follow-ups. Account-based motions amplify the value of precise lists because ABM only works when your account selection and buying committee coverage are correct. Marketers report higher win rates with ABM at a rate of about 86%, but that lift depends on clean account definitions and accurate contacts across roles. In practice, this means your outbound sales agency or B2B cold calling services shouldn't just pull leads, they should build account pods with the full committee mapped. Automation is also a time unlock, not just a data upgrade. Reps typically spend only 28 to 35% of their week actually selling, which is why strong tooling and workflow design matters as much as messaging. When research, enrichment, and verification are automated, it's realistic to reclaim 5 to 10 selling hours per rep per week, time that can be redirected into higher quality cold callers call blocks, tighter follow-up, and faster speed to lead on high-intent accounts. Next steps. Operationalize list quality as a revenue KPI. Start with a data quality and coverage audit so you're improving the right thing. Pull bounce rates, duplicate rates, and missing critical fields by segment. Then, compare performance by list source to see where the gaps are actually costing meetings. This turns list building from a vague, "we need better data" complaint into a prioritized RevOps backlog with measurable business impact. Then, standardize your workflow and make it easy to follow. Document your required fields, verification thresholds, dedupe rules, and scoring criteria, and review outcomes weekly with SDR and RevOps leadership. Once you do that, hiring decisions become clearer too. You can hire SDRs, engage an SDR agency, or outsource sales with confidence because the inputs are controlled. If building all of this feels heavy, it's reasonable to pilot external support on one strategic segment and compare results against your internal baseline. At SalesHive, we've seen the biggest gains when list building, verification, and personalization are treated as one connected system, not separate tasks spread across tools and spreadsheets. Whether you keep it internal or partner with a cold calling agency, the goal is the same. Keep lists fresh, accurate, and ICP tight so Outbound stays predictable as your market changes.